side of the draw is shaping up in a quite extraordinary fashion. And if you're at home and you're English, and there's a reasonable chance you are, I think your eyes are probably widening. Or Denmark, of course, for everything that they have done so far. And as we said earlier, the emotions that they're surfing just at the moment. Not often we can say a game changes in 27 seconds, but this one did, Gary. It really did. Marlon here, who has to score, and then it goes up the other end and a red card.
He does so well, and then he just complicates it. And compared to the goalkeeper, big moments, he reads it, he anticipates what he's going to do. He's fantastic. The line's so high of the Czech Republic, and he just knocks it past them and runs. And this just basically then runs into the moment of the match where De Ligt, who I have to say, I was talking to Nigel in the first half about De Ligt, about he looked really slow, he looked sluggish, like he's going to expose himself. We know he's had some criticism from the Dutch press, but you say 26 seconds, and I never buy into, because I've done it myself, I've slipped. You never slip, you're never unlucky. You only slip as a defender when you've got your footing wrong, when you're out of position, when you've misread the flight of a ball, and then you panic and you slip and your footing goes wrong. And he gets his footing wrong because he's misread the flight of the ball, De Ligt. It's a really poor bit of defending. And then when you make that first bit of defending, when that first bit of defending goes wrong, the young defender always goes and tries and makes the second one, and that's where he really costs himself. An experienced, mature, composed defender makes the first mistake and just lets the forward go through and score because you've still got 11 on the pitch. A young one doesn't.
Denying an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. Had to go to VAR, but it's quite clearly the right decision.
Yeah, I think it's the right decision, and I think De Ligt actually did it because he knew he was the last man. So it was almost an instinctive handball, you know, obviously yellow card, but we said it in the studio. We were like, oh, that's the definite red card. But look, you know, how many times have we seen teams go down to 10 players and actually get more difficult to beat? Netherlands didn't react to it. They didn't react tactically. They crumbled. Ronaldo, the big players, Ronaldo, Depay, Stecklenburg, they were all making mistakes. So the red card wasn't the end of the game.
What happened, or what didn't happen tactically? What should De Boer have done that he didn't do tactically?
I think for sure, just looking at his system and the players that were on the pitch as well, I think there was no reason to change in that stage, because if you go back to a 4-4-1 or 4-3-2 system, we had the players on the pitch who can just slot in that position as well, you know, moving the players around. Instead of that, he brings another player on in Promes for Marlon, taking another striker on, and still plays in a system with 5 defenders. In this situation, you don't need 5 defenders in that case because you're only playing against 1 striker. So instead of moving forward and try to keep the pressure on the Czech, you have to go slot in a 4-4-1. And it looked, for me, kind of like he was defending the 0-0 as long as possible, and then hopefully, you know, going in the last 50 minutes to put Weghorst.
You could defend a 0-0 in a different way. That's the point, isn't it? Play 4-4-1. That could defend a 0-0.
Of course, and that's for us is so hard to see now. After we lose this game, but at the end of the day, you have to have the players to have the belief as well on the pitch. If they play in a system like 4-4-1 and change it around, but there was no belief. I think after the red card was in place, I think the belief was gone. There was no proper belief to go forward. There was no proper belief to actually win the game. And what we all said, sometimes when you play with 10 men against 11, you know, you got a little bit extra spirit, a little bit of energy, but there was a lack of intensity, a lack of belief, a lack of characters. And this was the time that we really missed a proper leader who can just say, listen, guys, no matter what happens, we go out with a bang or we go out fighting.
Miss Van Dijk. Miss Van Dijk.
Yeah, I'll say in this position.
And it came from, in the end, from a set piece as well. The initial breakthrough, and then, as we said, the whole momentum had shifted anyway, in the sense of going towards the Czechs.
Yeah, just before this corner, Van Aanholt had such a stupid foul. You know, he just needed to clear the ball. He fouls, and then he gives the Czechs the opportunity to put the ball in the box. We said it, you know, that the Czechs probably the only way they're going to score is through a set piece. You see here, you know, Stecklenburg, I'm not sure where he's going. His positioning was off. Just before that, again, he mishandled the ball. Yeah, great goal, great header, but that's where I think the Czechs really capitalised on Netherlands' weakness.
I mean, when you go down to 10 men, like you say, that's not a reason as a big nation in particular to fold. But one of the big problems that the Dutch had already was set pieces. So De Ligt goes off, you might think, well, OK, how are we going to cope with the set pieces? Promes comes on at left wing-back, which means that they're still playing 5 at the back, but Van Aanholt's your left centre-back then, and Blind is your central centre-back. So on any set-piece then, they're going to be under massive pressure. And it was an inevitability that the Czech Republic were going to score within that next 2 or 3 minutes. It was coming, we were talking about it, it was just a matter of time. They just did not react at all on the pitch and off the pitch to go into 10 men. It was a really poor response.
And actually, in the end, it was just a question of how many the Czechs were going to win by, wasn't it? Because they'd completely gone mentally. And as it was 2-0. Schick goes to 4 goals, second top scorer behind Ronaldo in the championship.
Yeah, they capitulated, absolutely capitulated at this point. And like you say, this is actually a really good goal.
But you have to go back, Gary, to the challenge here. You know, I've been on the midfield there. If you look this ball, this second ball, as a midfielder, you got to go in this 50-50, make a challenge. Ronaldo's stepping away for that challenge there, because that's the key moment for the Czech Republic player to go through and give that assist for Schick to score that goal. In that position, if the ball falls there, you have to go in a challenge, and that sums up also the character that we were lacking this game today. You know, in the 50-50 challenge, we never were that close in the second half. You know, closing down the players, really making an effort that we try to win the game, and you could see that. And that was one of the main situations that we see today that sums everything up.
You were going through the emotions today, of course. You started off very hopeful. You're thinking Holland maybe a quarter-final place.
Yeah.
It all...
Oh my God!
It was all a bit frustrating. As far as, well, I said at the top of the show that Frank de Boer had maybe started to answer a few of his critics.
Yeah.
Are those critics sharpening their pens once again and going, actually, you've shown yourself to be a little bit out of your depth today?
I think so. I mean, before the tournament started already, you know, there was a lot of skepticism about Frank de Boer and his way, how he played the game. And, of course, after this display today, and yeah, you got to give him a little bit of consolence that we got a red card at the end of the day, so it was a little bit difficult for him just to play against the Czech. But it's not going to be easy for him to open the papers tomorrow morning and just read everything what they're going to say about it.
No, it'll be tough for him. And you know, I've been there many times as an England player and part of a coaching team, that when you go out of a tournament in that way, you come under massive pressure. But I've also been there when players have been sent off as well. And I feel a little bit more sorry for De Ligt, a 22-year-old in Juventus. He's got to recover from that. He's had a tough season already, big price tag on his head. He'll get massive pressure put on him, and obviously as a young person, it's far more difficult to deal with than it would be for De Boer.
Yeah, just a final quick word. It never pans out quite the way you think in a championship. We can all go, well, they're going to play them and they're going to win that group, and you know, it's never quite that way, which is a great thing, actually. Well, unless you're Dutch today.
The proof is in this game. You know, I think everyone would have said before the game, Netherlands, free scoring, highest scorers in the tournament, would win this game. It was a huge opportunity with Denmark waiting, but we can't call it. You know, this is a big upset today. Czech Republic now will be confident that they can go on and do something special for their nation as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's a disappointment. You know, I'm sitting here really in disappointment.
We're in the final, Nigel.
I'm just saying, we're really disappointed. I just hope for Gary that English goes through. You know. And by the way, you can talk.
Going through.
You can talk that.
Also,
little
yeah.
It's gone and dusted. Yeah, you can put a. You can take that back in.
Going away.
It's gone.
Great to have you with us, nevertheless. Yeah. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Gary. Thank you very much indeed. The small matter of Belgium against Portugal is coming up next in the company of Roy Keane, Patrik Vieira, and Ian Wright. Stay with us for that. The Czechs with a surprise win over the Dutch in our first live game of the day from the Euros.
You know, he has this generation where the potential is there. I mean, we've identified from the beginning that the Dutch team was having that potential, but they don't have that leader who can really identify the moment to calm down, the moment to accelerate, the moment to be, that top team. So. No, we should keep him, I think, to continue to work hard on this generation. It's not their time anyway to win, as I said. It was just my favorite, surprise for the Dutch, but not a team that could go, till the end and win.
Well, the way that they played in the group stages, I mean, they scored 3 twice, they won all 3 games, and all of a sudden people were talking about them tonight. They just didn't show up tonight. It's a game that they should have won.
The biggest threat on the pitch so far. How did the Czech Republic stop him from bombing on like that?
You know it from the beginning, but at the end of the day, he has, his way to get into a good position to create for the Dutch side. So, top-class player, but you see for the second half, they will have to open up. There will be space in between the lines, and now the Dutch probably would start to take advantage of it.
They do have a really good option B in Weghorst on the bench, the Wolfsburg striker, the towering centre forward.
It's a different option to the way that they play. He plays as a number 9, if you like, an out-and-out striker, whereas at the moment they've got the 2 that interchange a bit with Dumfries coming down the right-hand side. If they wanted to go more direct, The Czechs are forcing them to go a little bit more direct, actually, because they're pressing them high up the pitch, and the Dutch don't like that. They want to play out, but they are having to go a bit more direct, which is why.
It's more tactical, and you can see it also. I think the Czech Republic did really well. They tried to press Holland also very early with the build-up. Holland hasn't found really their mojo at the moment. There's not much space. Probably they can change the second half in a 4-3-3. They in the favorite. I think they played quite well in the group stage. In Holland, there still is the feeling that it was an easy group. They should have qualified from out of that group. But in the way they did, that was good. I think they had a difficult time, I think, against Ukraine. I think we were extremely lucky that we get out of jail there. Nevertheless, it has been a puzzle for Frank de Boer to get the right formation. He played first with Weghorst, big, tall guy up front, and the last game he played with Malen, and I think that Malen gelled better with Depay and Wijnaldum than Weghorst did. And then when Malen came on, immediately Depay was free, had more possibilities, scored goals. So therefore we are looking forward to a Holland that has to take the favorite role.